Today, we're going to be talking about the Dark Aether storyline, and more specifically, we're going to focus on one character. That character being the boy. And yes, that's all we really know about him, at least for official information. Of course, there are theories for who this boy is that I know you guys are familiar with, of course, the boy being Eddie, but that's not really what we're here to discuss to begin with, because really, we don't really care, at least for this video, if the boy is Eddie or not, because it just doesn't matter. Because the story of the boy has been going on for a while now, and it's giving us a very interesting picture of what could possibly be going on with this character, especially in the future, and that all mainly has to do with some brand new information that we've got in Season 4. And that's what I want to go over, and to do this, I want to actually read you guys off one of the many documents we're going to be going over here today. This one, of course, being a newer document for Maxis called Quarantine Day 1. Now, what it says is, I'm writing it down not because I don't know what happened, but so that others will. My name is Maxis, Samantha Maxis. I know you're reading this, Weaver, and I know you feel the same guilt I do about the boy. I promised I would keep him safe, but we both failed him. The last thing I expected was for you to move so quickly as you did. The operation should have never happened. If I had known the steps you would take, I would have not have told you the location. The house was supposed to be safe. We both feel guilt, but I will always blame myself, more than you. And so this gives us more insight to what may exactly happened with this boy character, because before this point we didn't really know much besides a couple things here and there. And what I actually want to do now is play you guys a radio from Season 2. I know it's a while ago, but it's actually very relevant to what I further want to talk about here, and it'll give more context to what we know about this boy character.
I thought I'd died and gone to hell. I thought everything and everyone I ever knew was gone forever.
You've been to hell before, though, Sam. We both have. I was never going to leave you there to die.
Like you did the boy.
That's not fair, Sam. That was a different situation. We both did all we could.
But not enough. He's still dead, isn't he?
So in this radio, we do hear a conversation between Weaver and Samantha, and the main thing to take away from this is when Weaver told Samantha, I was never going to leave you there to die, and then Maxis replies with, like you did the boy. So this would imply that this boy character is dead, which, if it was Eddie, like really sparked a lot of flames throughout the community if Eddie has been dead, which would be insane, because if he just was brought to this new universe just to die, it would be kind of whack. But that's not where the story of this boy's death really ends, because all we know from this is that it seems like he died, right? We don't really know exactly the context of it, like what exactly went down or anything like that. But that all changed again in Season 4 with another diary entry, that being number 9 from Samantha. And what it says is, I remember waiting for your call, 10, 11, 12. The phone never rang. Instead, I saw news of the explosion on TV. I couldn't sleep. 3 a.m. I heard a knock at my apartment door. You gave the keyword and I let you in. We'd never met face to face. It was a shock to finally meet you. You were in a bad way. I did my best to dress your wounds, but it was the first and only time I ever saw you cry. You mumbled something about not knowing, about how you were sorry. You torched the place to cover your tracks after the hit. You said the boy was supposed to be staying with his mother, but he wasn't. He was there, in the house, while it burnt to the ground. And this document is incredibly dark. I don't know if you guys can tell already, but let me explain exactly what happened here. So obviously the person writing this would be Maxis, and who this is talking about here I think is most likely Weaver, for a couple different reasons, because not only do we have previous radios and also even documents that we've already gone over just in this video alone that suggest that both Weaver and Samantha somehow let this boy die, and this would explain exactly how that happened, because it seems like Samantha gave the location of the boy to Weaver, and when he went there after doing whatever he did, it seems like he tried to burn the place down in an explosion, as we heard previously in this exact same document, to cover his tracks. But unknowing to him, this boy character was actually still in that building that Weaver burnt down. So Weaver, without knowing, seems to have killed this boy character, which really took a dark turn for this character, because not only has this boy character been dead, but more than that, he was actually killed, accidentally it may be, but killed nonetheless by Weaver. But is this really the end of the line for this boy character? Because it seems kind of weird that this boy character, especially if it is Eddie, that his entire purpose of the story was just that he died, right? Would that be something that they would do with this character? And honestly, I kind of was feeling it for a bit, but I always doubted that they would really do that, especially if this boy character really is Eddie, which we could still argue about if that's the case or not. But even if it's not, it still seems strange to me that this character's entire purpose is just to be dead. And that's where our next piece of document comes into place, because I think this piece of document really brings into question if this character, this boy character, is actually dead. And I want to put this new document on screen because it is incredibly interesting. But what's said on this document is that this is my best friend, Mr. Peaks. Mr. Peaks is always watching. Mr. Peaks likes to play hide and seek. Mr. Peak lives in my hat. Mr. Peak always tells the truth. Thank you, Mr. Peaks. You keep me safe in the dark place. So at first glance, this may seem disconnected from the boy character thus far, but I think there are some obvious things that point directly to this being written by the boy character, and it's because of two reasons. One is because of the name of the document. The name of the document is literally the child's note, but what really gave it away for me to confirm that the person who wrote this down is the boy character is by looking at the document itself. Because one thing you may be able to notice about this document is the edges. The edges are obviously burnt. And what did we just hear a little bit ago? The boy was supposed to have died in a fire. And if this paper is burnt like it was in a fire, it seems very likely to me that this is directly connected to this. And if this is directly connected to this, obviously we could see alone from the document itself, we see the bunny, the mystery box bunny, who we now know is called Mr. Peaks, which is a whole thing in itself, which we will return to. But the next part that seems to confirm that this boy character is not dead is that last line where it says, "Thank you, Mr. Peaks. You keep me safe in the dark place." And this right here seems to confirm that this boy character did not perish in this fire, and instead, some way that we are currently unaware of, this boy character seems to have ended up in the Dark Aether. And if we assume that this is true, which it seems very likely that this character is in the Dark Aether, it would open so many questions. The first and obvious question would be that how the heck did this character even get to the Dark Aether? Because last I checked, almost dying in a fire does not bring you to the Dark Aether. So something else most definitely must have happened. And If our understanding is currently correct, it doesn't really make too much sense, because thus far what we know of the story and the Dark Aether's first re-emergence or emergence into this universe was back during World War II, but then soon thereafter the Russians closed it off, and it was supposed to have been closed off that entire time until the 80s, where Omega reopened it. But if this is the case and there was still a connection to the Dark Aether in that giant 40-year in-between era, it leaves so many questions on the table, because what could have been going on for these 40 to 30 years in between the events we are familiar with? It could be setting up so many things in between these two times, and it has a lot of room to do a lot of things that we wouldn't expect. And not to mention, it would completely destroy our current understanding of the timeline if the Dark Aether was involved in this universe in those 30 to 40 year periods in between the 40s and the 80s. Another question would be Eddie. If we do assume this is Eddie, which I'm still not sure if we can or not, like, if Eddie has been in the Dark Aether all this time, just imagine what in the heck is going on. Because if this child Eddie has been here for so long, it has some significant, and I really mean some significant, ramifications for this story. And one of those many things that I can think of is that maybe Eddie in this story is kind of taking the place that Samantha used to have in the original story. Because, as you guys may be familiar with, the original story is where Samantha was thrown into the Dark Aether, and then she took control of the zombies and, you know, all that, and had been corrupted by the Dark Aether. But now if the roles are flipped and now Eddie was the one thrown into the Dark Aether at a young age, who knows what could happen?
I didn't even get my turn.
Tomorrow, Eddie, you get to make the rules. I promise. Come on, Fluffy.
I wish the heroes in our stories were real, Sam.
I know what you mean. But we will make everything okay. My dad says he has a plan.
But we're really just scratching the surface with the possibilities of what could possibly be going on here. But I guess that's the ride we are on when it comes to the zombies storyline, and I'm excited to see exactly where this all leads. But that's about it for this video. But I'd love to hear what you guys thought of everything we've talked about here, because this is some pretty big stuff. I mean, we have this boy character that we thought was dead, but it turns out he's actually not dead, but instead is trapped in the Dark Aether. And if we assume that this boy character is Eddie, what does that mean from there? And that's exactly why I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, opinions, and especially theories on what could be going on down in the comment section below. But either way, if you guys did enjoy this video and you found it entertaining in any way, shape, and form, I would appreciate if you guys left a like, subscribe, bell, share, or all that great stuff. But I'm going to head out and I'll catch you guys next stream video, or whatever the heck it may be, and laters, guys.